All right, welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. No intro. We're getting right into the content these days, Aiden. Right into the content. Welcome back, my friend. How is your case of the World Series blues treating you right now?
It's been a rough couple of weeks. I mean, I just gotta leave it at that. It
Yeah.
was really just deflating. I did not go to class the next day. Maybe that was irresponsible of me, but it was just actually two of those classes got canceled, so I'm not irresponsible. It's
I
okay.
hear you. When the Yankees lost in '01, I was in college, like you, and I hopped into my 1997 Ford Thunderbird, and I just drove north, and I drove until I was out of gas, and then I filled up in gas, and I drove back. So it was like, I don't know, it was like 5, 6 hours of just driving, just listening to jams, listening to sad music. But we're over that now. We're going to focus on the positives. The Yankees have a chance to bring back a generational player. Juan Soto and his saga continues. Apparently, he's meeting with the Dodgers, the Mets, the Red Sox, the Blue Jays, and the Yankees. And the Yankees have the final meeting on Monday. I want to lay out some reasons for optimism and some reasons for pepto-bismolism, pessimism, and just kind of see, how you're feeling about it at this moment, and kind of see where the audience is at right now, because I'm sensing that some people might be on edge. So, some reasons to be optimistic. First, the Yankees have the last meeting. I think that could give them an edge because there might already be some offers out there, so they know what they have to beat. Also, if you've ever studied like job interview tactics, like if there's a bunch of interviews on the same day, you want to be last because you want to be fresh in the people's mind who are
Right.
interviewing you. And I think that the Yankees and the familiarity of Judge and the guys who are going to be in that room could help with some recency bias, right? Could help influence his decision. Like, yeah, I like these guys. They're fresh in my mind. I don't want to hurt these guys. And the final reason that I'm a little optimistic is that he genuinely seemed to be enjoying his playing time with the Yankees. Like, he enjoyed being in the Bronx. He enjoyed wearing the pinstripes. He said that many times. He did the Soto Shuffle song. I mean, he just seemed to love it here. And now some reasons for pessimism, and we'll see where you're at. So the Mets and the Dodgers, both very interested. There's rumors out there that Cohen won't be outbid, right? And if it's strictly a money decision, it's going to be Cohen. And the Blue Jays are also rumored to be throwing a lot of money at him. They'd saved up a bunch for Ohtani. They offered him $700 million. He said no. And both the Mets and the Dodgers have a lot more payroll flexibility and deeper pockets than Hal Steinbrenner. Forget the value of the franchise of the Yankees. I know it's super expensive, but that's not where the player salaries come from. It's from revenue and things like that. Yes, network isn't as profitable as it used to be. Regional TV just isn't as popular as it used to be. Hey, they should just invest in YouTube, man. I mean, that's where it's at. But, Hal gets all his money from the Yankees. The Dodgers have a hedge fund. Steve Cohen is 3 times richer than pretty much every owner in baseball. And finally, the Dodgers would be an absolute super team if they added Soto to Shohei and Mookie and Freddie. Freddie Freeman is now my personal Freddy Krueger forever. Just nightmares about that World Series. That's without even adding Roki Sasaki, where the Dodgers are the favorites there. So talking super team. And there's a trend in sports in recent years where there are super teams and, guys like to team up and make this big, crazy super team, mostly in basketball. But I feel like back in the day, you wanted to beat those guys. You wanted to beat the super team. And that's what I want. I want a competitor who wants to beat those guys. So it would not say a lot about Juan Soto to me if he joined the super team. Anyway, but I just wanted to kind of see where you're at with this whole situation as we move towards a meeting on Monday.
Yeah, I'm still kind of in wait and see mode. You mentioned all those teams that are reportedly involved. You got the Blue Jays in the mix there, the Rays even checked in. I think a lot of the teams on that list are really just kind of being used for leverage because that's what Boris does. And then we hear that there's some kind of mystery team on a Boris client. But yeah, I just feel like it's a big leverage game. I'm not particularly worried about the Dodgers because I just think that's kind of unrealistic. And I do think Soto wants to beat the Dodgers
Right.
and he doesn't like the West Coast either. We've heard time and time again that he wants to be on the East Coast. So I really do think this is a Yankees versus Mets game. But if you asked me after Game 5 of the World Series and you saw his post game interviews, I felt terrible. I
Yeah.
was at my buddy's place and I was like, oh my god, we lost the World Series and now we're gonna lose Juan Soto. But I've had some time to cool off, think things over, and I really think this is kind of just it's where Soto wants to go at the end of the day, and it's if the Yankees are going to give him a good enough offer. I think the Yankees just have to be close to what the Mets are offering, but I think it's a good sign that Hal Steinbrenner is flying to LA and that
Yeah.
he's getting involved early because when Judge was a free agent, we saw that Hal had to come in last minute to save the
Right.
deal and give the number that Judge wanted. Him being involved this early shows that he wants Soto on his team. He knows he has to bring Soto back to get back to the promised land again. And he knows the fans will go absolutely ballistic on him if he doesn't re-sign Soto. He was a cultural revelation for this team and for Yankees fans in the Bronx. So I really do think it's just down to the Yankees and Mets. Steve Cohen's got deep pockets, but at the end of the day, I think Hal Steinbrenner is going to do whatever it takes to get done.
And there's something to Hal wanting to meet with him in person, because if you're going to give this guy, 600, 700 million dollars, like I said on a previous podcast, you want to look him in the eye and know that he wants to be a Yankee, right? You want to see in his heart that it's not just about the money, right? So, I mean, that's where we're at. I mean, none of us are going to know where it's headed until moves start happening, because he's played it very well. He's regurgitated all the lines from Boris Corp, where every team's got a chance. But in his heart, you know that he has something in mind. And I refuse to believe that Juan Soto is one of those guys who only has dollar signs in his heart. From watching him play all year, it seems like this guy genuinely loves the game, genuinely loves the big stage. Now, you can say the Mets are also a big stage because obviously it's New York, but they're kind of the little brother. They always have been. And even if they won a couple of World Series, I think they would still be the little brother until they win 28 of them. So, hey, it is what it is. One way the Yankees could save money, and I want to talk about this, if they sign Juan Soto, is by going with a rookie at second base, perhaps maybe a rookie at first base too. We talked about Ben Rice in the past, but I want to talk a little bit about Caleb Durbin, because he's somebody that I haven't talked a lot about on this channel. He's getting a lot of attention for a number of reasons. Reason number one is that Gleyber Torres is effectively gone. I mean, Gleyber Torres not coming back. He already cleared off his Instagram profile. That's like, that's like changing your relationship status on Facebook. He just set the Arizona Fall League record with 29 stolen bases, and there's only been 24 games. So he's averaging more than a stolen base per game down there. He's hitting over 300. His on-base percentage in the minor leagues for his career is 374, which is terrific. It's over 400 in the AFL right now. Here's a stat that I wanted to throw at you, Aiden, that I find particularly encouraging. In his career in the minor leagues, 134 walks, 111 strikeouts. So more walks than strikeouts. That tells you he's got a very good eye. And you mentioned how short he was. He's 5'8", about 180 pounds, and he crouches down a little bit in his stance. So he's got a very small strike zone. So when you combine a good eye with a command of the strike zone, that those are signs of a good modern hitter. Now, I don't know if he's going to actually hit well against major league pitchers, but I wanted to get your thoughts on Caleb Durbin. Also on his neck, because it's insane. He's got a neck like a linebacker, man.
Yeah, he's got a massive neck. He is absolutely yoked up for a guy of his size. But he's a really interesting prospect because his profile reminds me a lot of Anthony Volpe when he was coming up. And he's a short, stocky guy. But he had a good slash line this year. Batted 275 with a 388 on base percentage, a 451 slug. That makes for an 839 OPS. My main concern with him is that he just doesn't hit the ball very hard, and that's why he reminds me of Volpe a lot. He's a slap hitter who's really fast on the bases and a good defender. He's a contact-oriented bat, so you're not really going to expect him to hit the ball that hard, but his average exit velocity this past season was 83.8 miles per hour, and he just had a 3.3 barrel rate. Those are kind of remarkably low, and his hard hit rate was only 25%. So not really where you want it to be. That's from StatCast data. There's now some minor league StatCast data, but of course, a hitter with his profile is not going to hit the ball very hard. He's not going to be a big slugger, but like you mentioned, he walks a lot and he doesn't strike out a ton. His whiff rate is low at 16%. He has a 12.5% walk rate and a 9.9% strikeout rate. So his strikeout rate is below 10%. I really like to see that. That's a really encouraging thing. I do think that Durbin will be on the opening day roster. I think he's going to get a big shot in spring training, and then he's going to make the opening day team. I don't know if he's going to start, but he's definitely going to be in the mix in 2025 for sure.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit risky to go with a rookie who hasn't played in the major leagues at all on opening day, especially when they have some suspect metrics like you just mentioned with the exit velocity. But, if the Yankees re-sign Juan Soto, they're going to be looking to cut costs in other areas. And I could see this being a place where they do it, because if it doesn't work out, there are other second basemen you can go out and get, right? I mean, you could also call up Oswald Peraza and give him a shot at second base. So I wouldn't be shocked if they hang on to Peraza, even though he's been kind of like, cast aside in the organization. You could also move Jazz Chisholm over to second base and go get a third baseman. And I think that's something that we should also spend a little bit of time on, because there's been some rumors about Alec Bohm. We'll talk about him in a minute. But first, we got to talk about Jordan Montgomery. Jordan Montgomery was outstanding after being traded from the Yankees. He was pretty good with the Yankees. I was always a big fan of him. I called myself the president of Gumby Nation, and it's been a long time since I've done that accent. Anyway, 3.48 ERA in 22, 3.20 ERA in 23. He obviously had some trouble this year. He had an ERA over 6.23. Now, Scott Boras is his agent, and he screwed up his free agency last winter. He was asking for too much money. Teams weren't willing to pay it. He ended up signing with the Diamondbacks very late. He got to camp late. He got his season started late. And you can see at Baseball Savant, his numbers were down. He still had a good chase rate, still had a good barrel percentage, and he always has that great extension because he's 6'6", and your release is so far over top. But you see his metrics through the years, beginning in 2017, he's always had solid numbers. I've always liked this guy. And now the D-backs have openly said that they're planning to trade him, and they're willing to eat some of the money to do it. They still are going to need pitching, but their owner just doesn't like the deal. He doesn't like Monty. And it just gave me the idea, what if the Yankees were to trade Marcus Stroman, maybe throw in a couple of lottery ticket prospects, and in return, you get back Jordan Montgomery, and maybe the D-backs eat a little bit of that money. Maybe there's $6 million difference between what Stroman makes and what Monty makes. Maybe they pick up $2 million or $3 million of that to make it, not quite a push, but, the Yankees would be getting the better pitcher. The Diamondbacks would be getting a ground ball guy who's experienced. He's a good clubhouse guy. And honestly, I would rather have a 31-year-old Jordan Montgomery on my roster than Marcus Stroman. So just wanted to give your thoughts on Jordan Montgomery and thoughts on my trade in general.
Yeah, I actually really do like that mock trade personally, because I'm out on Marcus Stroman. We signed this guy for 3 years, 37.5 million, I think,
Yeah.
and he didn't pitch in the playoffs, or I don't think he pitched a single inning in the playoffs.
I didn't even warm up in the playoffs.
Yeah, I thought we were going to use this guy as a long relief at least, but he served no value in the playoffs. But yeah, I would definitely give the Diamondbacks a call right now, because his value is probably at the lowest it's going to be. Jordan Montgomery is a good pitcher. The owner has made those comments that he doesn't really want Montgomery, so I don't think it would take terribly much to get him. And I think it's unfair to judge his 2024 season as well, because
Right.
he had a late start. Scott Boras kind of screwed him over a little bit, overestimated his value. But it just doesn't seem like the D-backs are a good fit for him. It doesn't seem like a good environment.
Yeah.
The Yankees know Montgomery, and Montgomery knows the Yankees. Matt Blake did wonders for him when he came over in 2020. I think it would be a good fit, and the Yankees would tap into some potential that he has left. And although his velocity has kind of dipped down, he's got the kind of stuff where he can reinvent himself as a pitcher, just like CC Sabathia did.
Yeah. THC Wicked 50 Cal, one of the mods here at Pinstripe Territory, says, as bad as Stroman is, same with Monty, but I think Stroman's contract is easier to get out of. Maybe he's wrong. Well, Monty's only got 1 year at 21.5 million because it was an option year that he picked up. So, I mean, it's not a big deal. I mean, if he ends up struggling, you just don't pitch him in the playoffs. You let him walk after the year. I think it's a win-win if you pick up Montgomery, and I think he would be rejuvenated being back with the Yankees. Obviously, there were some issues when he was traded. Brian Cashman said, he wasn't going to be a part of our playoff rotation. I feel like that would either piss him off or it would give him a chip on his shoulder to go out and say, you know what, I'm damn well going to be a part of your playoff rotation this time. That's how I would want to see, a player react as a competitor. But I think we're both all in. Monty would be a good fit. Let's talk about somebody who might not be a good fit, but we've been getting lots of questions about, and that is Alec Bohm. There's been talk about possibly picking up a third baseman, and if the Yankees decide to move Jazz back to second base, that's probably something they're going to have to do. And people have been asking about Alec Bohm, and obviously the StatCast numbers are pretty good. He's had some maturity issues that have kind of dragged him down. He kind of got benched in the playoffs. He likes to destroy stuff and throw a fit when he has a bad at bat or grounds into a double play. That's nothing we haven't seen before. Paul O'Neill was one of those guys. But his baseball savant numbers are quite good. He's an above-average fielder. He's a bad base runner. Not sure we need one of those. He's a contact hitter who sprays the ball all over the ballpark. You can see, if you're watching on YouTube, the spray chart line to line. Some of those doubles he hit to the opposite field would be home runs at Yankee Stadium. But I asked you yesterday how you felt about him, and you said you weren't interested. So just kind of wanted to find out what's the deal.
Yeah, it's more of like a hard no from me. Alec Bohm is a good baseball player. Like I do think that, he can hit the ball, he can field, but I just don't think it's a good fit. He's got some good statistics defensively at third base with 5 outs above average last season. That's pretty good. He can swing it. You saw the savant numbers there. Good exit velocity. Doesn't whiff a lot, doesn't K a lot. You'd love to see that. But here's why he's not a good fit in my eyes. First and foremost, those attitude problems you mentioned. I have a few friends that are Phillies fans, and they complain about this guy nonstop. He got benched in the NLDS because of an attitude issue, and Rob Thompson was unimpressed with how he handled late season adversity. He does have a good amount of range with those 5 outs above average, but he made 14 errors last year. And in 2022, he made 13. In 2021, he made 15. So he's really not that great defensively. And honestly, if anyone is a Gleyber Torres replacement, it's not Caleb Durbin. It's this guy. Because he can hit the ball, but he's got a bit of an attitude and work ethic problem. And he's not only a liability defensively, as with all those errors, but he's also a liability on the base paths. He had a negative 2.6 base running runs above average, and StatCast gave him a negative 2 base running run value. So at face value, it seems like a good fit. He has a good bat, and he only has a few, like 2 or 3 more years left on his rookie contract, but looking at the big picture, I just do not see it doing well for the Yankees. I think it would be more of a headache than anything for the Yankees and their fans.
Yeah, I think the Yankees don't need any more headaches right now. We've got plenty of headaches to go around. The base running thing is kind of what concerns me a little bit because they're already terrible at base running. And, attitude problems with young players, it really depends on the type of attitude problem, right? I mean, if somebody's pissed off at themselves, right, for making an out or whatever and smashing some stuff, like Paul O'Neill's one of those guys. It could actually be kind of fun. But if they're one of these people who's just a bad teammate or a clubhouse nuisance, then it's not a good fit. Because right now you don't want to screw up the chemistry of a team that's trying to get back to the World Series. But a lot of people are asking about Alec Bohm, so I thought we would talk about him. One more thing we got to talk about, and that is that Aaron Boone had his option picked up. Now, we got some voicemails that I'll get to in a minute about Aaron Boone. I do think it's interesting that they haven't given him a contract extension. As the guy in Moneyball said, it's hard to manage under the cloud of a 1-year contract, but as they also said in Moneyball, if there's a ground ball hit to first base right now, there's nobody there to stop it from rolling. So the Yankees have some other issues right now to take care of. Do you think there's anything to the fact that the Yankees didn't extend his contract? They don't seem to hand out extensions to players or managers a lot. They never extended Girardi. They got rid of him. They didn't extend Torrey that often. players, they make them play out their contract like Judge, and then they'll re-sign them. They don't mind paying the extra premium to bring them back, but they don't want to give guys a contract too early. So just want to get your thoughts on the Boone situation, and also, what'd you think of Boone this year in general? I mean, I had my qualms with him. Like, I didn't like how long he stuck with Clay Holmes, but that's also an organizational decision. I didn't like that when the Martian came up, he didn't play him enough. Like, he sat him every other day. I didn't like that it took him half a year to decide on a catcher. But I did like that he put Austin Wells in the leadoff spot, or in the cleanup spot in the middle of the season, and that kind of rejuvenated him. I thought moving Gleyber Torres to the leadoff spot was excellent, and it was excellent down the stretch. And I thought he made a lot of great bullpen moves in the postseason, just a few bad ones too, obviously. So give me your thoughts on the Boone situation, how you feel about him as a whole.
Yeah, no, as a whole, Boone's grade for this year, I give him an A. Like, he was a great manager this year. I think a lot of the complaints that Yankees fans had with him this year was more of an organizational thing and not up to him. Like, people would get on him for not holding players accountable enough. Why aren't you benching Gleyber Torres after he made a base running error? That's not completely up to him. I think like from, the upper levels, they're telling him just keep Gleyber on the field no matter what. But yeah, no, I think he was a good manager this year. And like you said, he made excellent bullpen decisions almost all playoffs until the 10th inning of Game 1 of the World Series. Would love to forget that. But
you never will, my friend. You never will.
Yeah, no, I really won't. That really stung. But that was my first World Series loss as a Yankees fan. Really, really terrible. But like you said, I don't think they've extended him yet because that's just not the Yankees' MO. They got other fish to fry right now, including probably one of the best free agents in the decade, probably. But I also think it's World Series or bust for Boone this year. That's probably another reason. I think they're going to see if he can take them to the promised land this year, because if he doesn't, I think he's out and they want to get someone else in there. We heard rumors this year that if he didn't win the AL pennant, he was out. So it's World Series or bust for Aaron Boone next year in my eyes.
I agree. And it's not going to be easy because the Dodgers are going to be better. The Orioles, I think, are going to be even better, although they may lose Corbin Burns. They got a lot of young guys who are just developing. There's other teams that are not going away. I don't think the Guardians are going away. They gave us even though we won that in 5 games, I felt like they played us very tight. So look, it's not going to be easy. Yankees have their work cut out for them. Aiden, thanks so much for joining. We're going to let Aiden go, and then we're going to get a quick word from our sponsor, HelloFresh, and we'll be back with your voicemails. Take care, Aiden.
Thanks. See you soon.
Are you looking to bring those autumn vibes into your kitchen? Have you tried HelloFresh? It's America's #1 meal kit, and they give me over 50 recipes to choose from every week. The ingredients come pre-portioned and shipped right to my doorstep. It works for both picky eaters like me and if you're trying to stick to a specific lifestyle. HelloFresh has something for everybody. They offer options like fit and wholesome, quick and easy, or vegetarian, whatever fits my mood that week. HelloFresh helps me eat healthier and keeps my reputation as the go-to chef at home. I'm bringing variety to the dinner table without the hassle. No more endless recipe searches or wasting money on big jars of spices that I only need to use a pinch of. With their step-by-step recipe cards, cooking's a breeze. Right now, you can get 10 free meals by heading over to HelloFresh. The 10 free meals are applied across 7 boxes. It's for new subscribers only, and planned restrictions do apply. That's 10 free HelloFresh meals just by visiting HelloFresh.com/freeFT. All right. So we got 3 voicemails tonight. And a reminder, you can always call in. The voicemail number is on the screen, 718-899-1068. I will be live again on Sunday. I was going to do Friday this week, but then I remembered that the Tyson fight is Friday. Tyson versus, is it Jake Paul or Logan Paul? Jake Paul. And I'm looking forward to that. I want to see Tyson just cave this guy's head in at 58 years old. That would be hilarious. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about Aaron Boone, a little bit more.
Yes. Hi, Derek. Steve calling from Farmington, Maine, hiding out among the Red Sox fans. Derek, I would like to hear your reaction to Aaron Boone's rebuttal to the Dodgers saying the Yankees are not fundamentally sound. In fact, he gave some obscure examples of how they won games, attending to little things. Absolutely ridiculous. How can we bring this guy back? He doesn't even see what's right in front of him. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, I think that's a great call. I mean, Boone does that a lot, right? He says things that we know are not true, and he's like, no, believe me, don't believe your eyes and ears. And in this case, it's not just our eyes and ears, but the statistics don't back up the fact that we were a fundamentally sound team. Way too many errors, way too poor of base running, and they're bringing him back for a year because they made it to the World Series. But I think what you're saying is part of the reason he hasn't gotten an extension yet, right? You got to learn to be honest with the media. New Yorkers especially have a very, very finely calibrated BS detector. And I think it's important to be as honest as you can when talking to the media.
Hey, Derek Austin. Regarding Aaron Boone and maybe the possibility of a contract extension, I guess we don't know whether that's happening, and just the fact that they picked up his option. I find it really interesting. What if Boone had gone against what the boys upstairs wanted, or gone against what management wanted, and brought in Tim Hill, and he gets out of that game and he wins it. But maybe Yankees go on to lose the World Series in 7 games, and maybe it's an all-time classic. I wonder if they even pick up his option, let alone, offer him the possibility of an extension, because he went against the grain. He did something on his own that he chose to do that, wasn't in the game plan. I do really wonder about that. And now.
Well, I'm going to stop you there. If ifs and buts were candy and nuts, every day would be Christmas. He didn't go against the grain. He went with what they were planning as an organization, which is go to Nestor Cortez, and it didn't work out. And it's something I'm sure he's kicking himself about. But it does sound like the Yankees are trying to bring back Tim Hill anyway. I really like the way Tim Hill threw the ball after the Yankees picked him up.
Hey, Derek, this is Bob from Ohio. Love your content. I could listen to your podcast every day, even in the off season. I went to Game 4, so I did get to see a win. That was exciting. I agree with what you said this week. Somebody's got to work on the base running and the defense with this team. The coaching really needs to up their game. Like you said, they probably need somebody else like Tim Raines to work with them. Probably a new third base coach, too. They got a lot of work to do, but the possibilities are there. So thanks for the great content, Mike.
I appreciate that. I think it's interesting that Rojas is keeping his job at third base, or as the third base coach, because I thought he had a lot of bad sends this year, a lot of really, really bad sends, and their catching coach, their base running coach rather, Matt Tallarico, is apparently Cashman said he's widely regarded as one of the best in the industry, but I don't know how you can be when your base running is as bad as the Yankees was this year. And apparently he's fielding offers from other teams. So, we'll see how it shakes out, but I do think that the Yankees need to make some tweaks, at least to the way they prepare for games, the way they handle fundamentals. But I'm in total agreement that they need a new third base coach at the very least. And I see Howie Shapiro also agrees. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks for tuning in. As always, like and subscribe. I know there's not a lot going on right now, but we're going to have a lot more coming up as the winter meetings approach. I'm going to be doing a show on Sunday. It's going to be mostly voicemail, so call in with your voicemails, and we will talk about whatever you want to talk about, whatever your heart desires on Sunday evening. So thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. I'll see you next time. Ball game over. If you enjoyed this video, please drop a like and give us a subscribe. It helps other Yankees fans find the channel. We're also on all your favorite podcast platforms and social media. Join the community, have some fun. We're here after every game. This is Pinstripe Territory.